Hey, mamas, it's your girl Carrie, and welcome back to week 5 of our Declutter Your Life series. This week, we are talking about the last piece that tends to create a lot of chaos in our home: paper clutter. The mail on the counter, the school papers in the backpack, the receipts, the bills, the forms, those random piles that seem to multiply overnight. Because even if your closets are clean and nice and organized, and your digital files are nice and organized, paper clutter can still make your home feel really messy, and honestly, your mind completely overwhelmed. So today I'm revamping one of my most helpful throwback episodes where I walk you through exactly how to declutter your paper, how to create simple systems, and how to finally stop those piles from completely taking over your kitchen counters. And if you're working on creating more structure in your home and really protecting your time, I want to make sure you grab my Boundaries Made Simple guide, because when you set clear boundaries around your time, managing things like paper clutter become so much easier. Make sure you grab it in the show notes. Are you feeling overwhelmed trying to juggle all the many hats you wear as a working mom? Do you want more quality time with your family without distraction of work, time alone to take care of yourself and your needs? Welcome to Mom Wife Career Life. I'm Carrie, a wife, a mom of 3, and a recovering perfectionist. In this podcast, I will teach you how to create balance in your life by implementing healthy habits, organizing your home and your schedule, being so intentional with your time and in your relationships, and most importantly, how to start putting your needs first, because no one can pour from an empty cup. Grab that second cup of coffee, or if you're anything like me, your third. It's time to dive into today's episode of Mom Wife Career Life. Paper clutter is one of those things that quietly adds stress and ends up stealing your time without you even realizing it, because it's not just the papers. It's the piles. It's moving things from counter to counter. The "I'll deal with this later" stack that just keeps on growing. So today, we're tackling paper clutter, because when you simplify your paper, you're going to simplify your time. And we're starting with number 1: designate a paper management zone. I want you to create one area in your home where all incoming papers go. This could be your kitchen counter, a desk, a drawer, a basket, a shelf. For me, and for a lot of people, it's your kitchen counter, because that's just where I go straight to when I come home. But if you want to keep your counters nice and clear, God bless you, you could use a credenza or a shelf or something slightly out of the way, but make sure it's still visible so that way you're not forgetting about the paper, because the goal is simple. You want to stop papers from floating around your house. When everything lands in one place, it's going to instantly reduce some chaos. Number 2, implement the touch it once rule. Whenever possible, try to handle a piece of paper only once. When your mail comes in, deal with it. The kid's backpack, deal with it then. School forms, deal with it then. If you don't need it, recycle it, trash it, or take a picture of it and toss it. Done. But I do want to be realistic, because sometimes you won't have time to act on everything right away. That's where the touch it twice rule comes in. If it requires action, you're touching it once to put it in your to-do spot, and you're touching it twice when you actually are going to handle it. But that's it. No moving it 5 times. Number 3, sort papers immediately. As soon as papers come in, I want you to sort them into 4 different areas: to do, to file, to shred, to recycle. And ideally, you're handling the to-dos right away. But let's be honest, again, working moms, we rarely have time to action everything immediately. So it comes down to having systems. For me, my to-do papers go next to my workstation at my desk. It's in my face when I go to sit down at my desk. I know that I have to deal with it, and I only touch it again when I actually am going to action it. And if you want your counters to still look nice, I highly recommend getting yourself a nice paper tray. It keeps things nice and neat, but completely visible. And when you actually sit down to action those papers, you're either discarding, filing, or taking a picture and tossing it. It's really that simple. So the first is a filing system. This is really whatever works for you. If you can file it right away, great. But I keep papers that I need to file in a drawer in my desk, and then I pick a day and I do them all at once. I actually had Kaylee organize all the papers one spring break, so all I had to do was file them after she was done. It's delegation at its finest, and it was wonderful. The next is shredding. Our shredder is in our upstairs office, so I usually put those papers on the stairs and I bring them up the next time I go upstairs. I would like to say my family brings it up, or whoever is going up the stairs brings it up, but you moms know that you can leave stuff on the stairs and it will sit there until you're going up. They just crawl over it. You can have a pile taking up 3 stairs and they will find a way to not touch any of it and just climb over it. But if you're able to keep your shredder on your first floor, even better. We don't have room for it, so it stays in our office. The next is the for later pile. I also keep a for later pile, but that's mostly for coupons or discounts. And I make sure that I only keep the ones that I'll actually use, like Macy's, Express, Aerie, any of the stores that my kids shop at. But the tricky part is remembering to take them when you actually go shopping. Macy's, they're great. They usually load them straight to your account if you have an app. But other stores, you actually need the coupons. So I try to keep them where I'm going to remember them, even though I hate going to the mall, but I have teenage girls, so we go to the mall a lot. Last is take pictures instead of keeping papers. If it's an invite, a school paper, an event reminder, or any information that you're going to need later, take a picture of it. And I like to keep albums on my phone. I have one for kids stuff, I have one for important docs, and I have one for events. And I make sure I file those pictures in one of those folders so that I can easily recall them later. That way, I'm not searching for emails or piles or backpacks. It's on my phone, and then I'm able to toss the paper. Number 4, create a filing system. So we just talked a little bit about filing, but you're going to establish a filing system that actually works for your family. I use plastic waterproof containers that I can move around. I have one for bills. I have one for my mortgage, insurance, and retirement documents. And then I have one for all my tax returns and medical bills. And medical bills, especially, they're such a pain in the butt right now because I have a really high deductible and a coinsurance. So I constantly have to go through them to make sure I'm getting billed correctly. And from my admin days way back when, I have the habit of writing directly on the bill the date I paid it, the confirmation number if I paid it online, if I spoke to someone, what their name was, and whatever notes. So if there's ever a question, everything is right there on the bill. And I used to keep every bill, but now I only keep credit card statements, my bank statements, insurance and medical bills, and my tax return. My accountant says you need to keep paperwork for 7 years. Some say 3, but I stick with her recommendation of 7. And once a year, I purge. I usually give that task to the kids because they love using the shredder, but sometimes they try to play a game to see how much paper they could actually put in the shredder at once. So we've had a couple break that way. So just be careful if you're letting your kids do it. Maybe break it up in piles to make sure that you're managing how much paper they put in your shredder. And just a funny side story, I work in corporate real estate management. And when I first started working many moons ago, we had this lockbox with a mail slot on top of it. And I don't know if someone told me it was a shred bin or I just assumed it was because it was a box with a lock on top. But part of our job is bidding out work. And when the contract value is over a certain amount, we need to do sealed bids, which meant that vendors had to submit their pricing and proposals in sealed envelopes. And then all those bids would be open at the same time with a handful of people witnessing the opening to make sure everything was legit and vendors couldn't change their pricing once they submitted it. Well, little did I know that that box that had a lock on it was actually our sealed bid box. And when bids would come in, they would go straight into that box. And didn't realize that until one day, one of the managers in our office opened the box to get the bids. And along with the bids was a whole pile of my personal papers that I put in there thinking that some company was going to be coming along, picking up the box to shred the papers. So totally embarrassing. But nowadays, shred bins in the offices are more obvious containers. So you won't make that mistake. And bids and proposals are usually submitted electronically now. I just completely dated myself. So another thing you don't have to worry about. But just wanted to share that funny tidbit. Number 5, establish paperless billing and statements and auto pay wherever you can. This significantly reduces the amount of paper coming into your house, and it really makes managing your finances so much easier. I still get some of my paper bills, like my credit card statement, and I also get my bank statement, but you can totally get all that stuff online. The only caveat is sometimes you can only go 2 years back, and for tax purposes, I want to make sure I have that full 7 years. So I still get those, but it's whatever you're comfortable with. And just a side note on credit cards, I use one credit card that pays for everything. It's my Capital One card, and I will link it in the show notes because I highly recommend it if you're a credit card person. It allows me to get points that I could use for travel. So anything I could pay with my credit card goes on my credit card, including whatever bills I can auto pay. So I'm getting points I could use for travel when I'm paying my cell phone bill. But this only makes sense, huge caveat, if you're able to pay off your credit card bill every month. Otherwise, you're paying interest and it's going to cost you more money. And the other reason I like paying everything on the one card is that at the end of the year, I download an Excel file of all my spending and I'm able to analyze all my spending. And I started to do this monthly to make sure I'm staying on top of all those monthly subscriptions that tend to creep in there, but it's whatever you're comfortable with. But back to the points. We've literally paid for a few vacations using the points. So if you're really on top of your finances and you're able to pay it off every month, highly recommend it. Again, linking the credit card in the show notes. Number 6, digitize whenever possible. I mentioned this earlier, but along with taking the pictures, you can scan more important documents and save them to your computer so that you have them electronically. That's a huge thing we talked about last week with Sean Lemon. Pictures are great for less important documents, but anything you need for tax purposes, you should really scan them and save them on your computer or on your cloud. If you have work expenses or you have to do an expense report, or if you're on the PTA and you purchase things and you have to submit any sort of expense report or committee reimbursements, Get in the habit of taking pictures of your receipts then and there, because receipts, they're so annoying to keep track of. But if you have them digitally and all in one album on your phone, you can just throw them away. I just went on a work trip recently, and literally every receipt I had, I took a picture of it then and there, and it was so easy to do my expense report. Number 7, set aside time for paperwork. I want you to dedicate a few minutes each week to just go through and process papers. And this could be during a quiet evening after the kids are in bed, or a weekend morning when you just have some free time. I do a lot of my paper decluttering while I'm cooking dinner. There's always that downtime when I'm waiting for a pot to boil or for that timer to go off so I can tackle whatever paperwork is on my counter. But for paperwork that involves me going to my computer to do something, I like to block time during my work week to really tackle those items. And I have a Pendaflex folder that I put those papers in that's right next to my workstation. So I know when I come to that time block that I have to tackle whatever is in that folder. Number 8, use a command center. Hopefully you've created this already because I talk about it a lot, but if you haven't, create a central command center in your home where you can keep track of important papers and schedules, your to-do list. I'm in the process of actually upgrading ours, but we currently have a cork board on my kitchen wall, and it has a monthly calendar, a weekly calendar, and then we stick any important items that we might need in the next few weeks right on there. I have my CVS bucks that I need to spend or I'll lose them, lotto tickets, my TJ Maxx dollars, Russ's jury duty notice. But honestly, whatever you want, you could put up there. You can buy a command center that has cute cubbies for mails and important papers. I used to have something like that, but then everything just got stuffed in there and I didn't like seeing the clutter on my wall. I would rather have it on my counter so it's in my face and I deal with it then and there. But it's really whatever your personal preference is. Number 9, get storage for kids' stuff. The school papers can be so overwhelming. All the art projects, the writing pieces, the tests, and you get really sentimental and you end up wanting to keep it all, but it's a lot, especially if you have more than one kid. So a great way to store kids' stuff is to get one of those plastic file folder bins and make a section for each year and put in the important stuff. If you have a ton of artwork, you can keep your favorites and take pictures of the rest. And if you're totally motivated, you can make a photo book of all their artwork that year and just pop the photo book in the file. That was always one of my mom dreams to do, but I never got around to doing it. So I do have an extra bag of just kids stuff that I'm trying to get my kids to go through and take pictures of what they want so that I can dump whatever they don't want. Because I know this might sound a little harsh, but when you think about it, why are you keeping it? My parents kept a bunch of my old notebooks and they sat in my attic. Did I like going through them when I came across them? Yes, but that was every once in 5 years. And if they hadn't kept it, I don't think I would have missed out on anything. And just a forewarning, once your kids get into middle school and high school, everything is done in the computer and through Google. And unless you are intentional about going on and having them print stuff out, you probably might not see most of the work they do. That was a big shock for me. Number 10, purge regularly. Set aside time periodically to really declutter and purge anything that you don't need. Weed out the expired coupons, outdated documents, and anything else that's no longer serving a purpose. I love the saying that when in doubt, throw it out. But I'm sure some of you are thinking no, when in doubt, keep it. But if the paper doesn't have something that I need to tear off and return to someone, then I really don't need to keep it. And if you're not sure if you're going to need something, you can always take a picture of it and put it in your important paper folder that I just told you to create. And then make it a point to go into that album every so often and delete things that you don't need anymore. You need to be purging stuff on your phone too. And last but not least, number 11, involve your family. Encourage your family, including your children, to participate in your paper management and your decluttering. Teach them the importance of sorting and filing papers and involve them in trying to keep the paper clutter to a minimum. Make your kids responsible for cleaning out their folders. Tell them they need to give you the important documents and then handing you the pile they want to discard just in case there's something important in there and you can filter through them, take what you want and give it back to them and tell them to go put it in the recycling. And I mentioned I had Kaylee help organize our bills so that I can file them. And honestly, when she saw how much we were paying in our electric bill, she was actually shocked. And it gave me the idea to show our kids our electric bill the past few months and how them leaving the lights on all the time is costing us money. So you can even use it as teachable moments. Well, I hope you found this episode helpful. And here's the thing. This isn't about having a perfectly organized filing system or never having paper again, because let's be honest, that's totally not realistic. This is about reducing the piles, reducing the decisions, and reducing the time you spend dealing with the same papers over and over again. Because when paper clutter builds up, it creates visual clutter, mental clutter, and that constant feeling that I need to deal with that. But when you create simple systems, you stop moving piles, you stop searching for things, you stop redeciding what to do with the same paper, and your home is going to start feeling calmer, and your brain does too. I'd love to hear how today's episode helped you. Why don't you head on over to our free Facebook community, Work-Life Balance for Working Moms, and tell us all about it. Sending you so much love and light until next time on Mom Wife Career Life with Carrie Pat. Before you go, if you found this podcast helpful, I would be so grateful if you would take a minute, go on over to iTunes, and leave me a review. If you have other stressed out mamas in your life that you feel this podcast could help, take a screenshot of this episode, post it on your Instagram stories, and tag me, and let them know that they are not alone and they can create balance in their life too. If there's a topic you'd like me to cover or you just want to connect, DM me on Instagram at mom.wife.career.life. Or come on over and hang out in our free Facebook community, Work-Life Balance for Working Moms. Sending you so much love and light until next time on Mom Wife Career Life with Carrie Pat.